The VLGA has put together a councillor professional development program that not only aligns with the Victorian Government's mandatory guidelines, but does so in a cost-effective and time-efficient way. The series of learning intensives planned for later in the year allow councils to partner with their neighbouring councils to deliver core training. All modules are covered in 6 half-day sessions, and because the learning is shared with other councils, the costs are significantly reduced. The VLGA also offers bespoke training and can customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. No matter your preferred method of delivery, the VLGA Councillor Professional Development Program will increase councillor confidence and competence. To find out more, email vlga@vlga.org.au. Indigo Shire gets the go-ahead for a revenue-neutral rate cap variation. More council winners from the Victorian state budget, a formal warning for a council CEO, a council's massive infrastructure program unveiled, a unique border rivalry in State of Origin Week, a policy backdown on wood heaters, a new councillor, a new general manager, and more turmoil in the top end as an entire council is dismissed. Hello, Chris Eddy with you for more news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Also today, is employee burnout a problem at your council? Zoe Dattner joins me to shine a light on an increasingly serious issue for councils across the country. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Indigo Shire Council has received approval from the Essential Services Commission for a rate cap variation for the upcoming financial year. But the council says the change will be revenue neutral and will result in no overall increase beyond the 3% rate cap. CEO Trevor Iarino said the approval was for the council to transfer an existing environmental management contribution charge into general rates, and that the Shire is now fully compliant with the Minister's best practice guidelines. The environmental management charge will disappear from rate notices. In its decision, the ESC said the higher cap was in the long-term interests of Indigo ratepayers and the community. Meanwhile, the council has welcomed an unexpected windfall in the Victorian state budget, which included $250,000 for a new pump track at Yakandanda. The money will allow delivery of a key recommendation of the Yakandanda Sports Park Master Plan. Frankston City Council has welcomed budget inclusions for sports lighting and change room upgrades in the city and money towards a local-level play space upgrade. It's also noted budget commitments to a redeveloped Frankston Hospital and modernisation of the Mount Erin Secondary College as important budget inclusions. And Hume City Council welcomed budget commitments to major upgrades of Donnybrook and Mickleham roads, with work to start soon. It is, however, disappointed over cuts to the Growing Suburbs Fund. Corangamite Shire Council has given a cautious welcome to a new $15.9 million drought relief package from the state government, though Mayor Kate Macon argues it doesn't adequately address farmers' immediate needs for feed and water. Councillor Macon is calling for more practical short-term support and suggests a federal farm keeper scheme modelled after JobKeeper. Some council stories getting media attention. ABC News has reported that the CEO of Victoria's smallest council, the Borough of Queenscliff, has received a formal warning from the Local Government Inspectorate. Martin Gill has been warned over a likely breach relating to his performance appraisal communications with councillors, with the Inspectorate determining it was not in the public interest to take further action. The incident follows previous controversies referenced in the ABC report, including allegations of threatening behaviour towards a councillor and concerns about a toxic culture. The council has confirmed an investigation occurred and that a formal warning was the outcome, and Mr Gill has admitted to making mistakes in the process and noted that his cooperative and proactive actions had contributed to the outcome. The Age reported that Port Phillip Council has abandoned a proposal to fine homeless people, but is considering new local laws that would allow them to disband encampments and confiscate camping equipment in designated hotspots. The decision came after a 4-hour council meeting where residents expressed mixed views about community safety and homelessness, with some demanding stronger action against antisocial behaviour, while others advocated for more support for vulnerable people. And Greater Dandenong Council is proposing a subtle update to its logo after nearly 20 years, replacing the City of Opportunity slogan with a bolder Greater Dandenong text while retaining the distinctive red, yellow and green D symbol. The Star Journal reported that councillors are set to vote on the new design this week. Melton City Council has launched a campaign against illegal rubbish dumping, which has cost the council over $3 million this financial year and doubled to 6,000 tonnes of waste over the past 4 years. Mayor Councillor Steve Abushi said it's frustrating to be spending ratepayer money on cleaning up rubbish when it could be better spent on fixing roads, building community facilities and delivering services. The council offers free recycling services and hard waste collection options, and there are hefty fines ranging from $395 to $9,880 for those caught illegally dumping rubbish. A motion calling on the state government to develop a prevention and education plan to combat illegal dumping was unanimously supported at the recent MAV State Council meeting. Casey City Council says it will not lead the delivery of 8 intersection projects in 2 new precincts over concerns about cost blowouts and delays from their experience with the Bellato Road roundabout project. That project, which began in March 23 after significant delays, has exceeded its original $11 million budget by around $2 million and faces completion delays until this July. The Cranbourne Star News reported that the council stance is detailed in their submission on the draft Casey Field South Employment and Devon Meadows Precinct structure plans. It's concerned about the financial risks to council, where other agencies control the approval processes for the projects. Campaspe Shire Council has joined a group of 31 Victorian councils advocating for a delay in implementing mandatory glass-only curbside bin service, citing challenges with their large geographic area and low population density. The council says it supports the need for less recycling contamination, but argues that its current fortnightly commingled recycling system is more cost-effective and environmentally friendly for its community. And Brimbank Council has endorsed a draft visitor economy strategy aimed at increasing visitor numbers, supporting businesses and boosting the local economy through 6 key initiatives, including developing a destination brand and enhancing festivals and events. Feedback on the strategy is open for the next month. Warrnambool will be on show in a new Apple TV series. Filming on The Dispatcher, starring Patrick Brammall, will take place over the next week at various locations, bringing around 700 crew and extras to the city and generating an economic boost of an estimated $1 million. Artist Adam Humphreys has been selected by Cardinia Shire Council to create a dynamic equine sculpture for Lang Lang, featuring 3 galloping horses that represent different rodeo movements. The public art piece aims to celebrate the town's strong connection to horses and the Lang Lang Rodeo. And the Brown Hill Kindergarten in Ballarat will undergo a $2.25 million expansion and upgrade, funded jointly by the City of Ballarat and the Victorian School Building Authority, to add a 3rd kindergarten room and improve facilities. The project, set to be completed by early 2027, will increase the kindergarten's capacity to 99 places in an area where the under 4 population significantly exceeds the Victorian average. This is the Local Government News Roundup for Monday the 26th of May, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association. And here's an invitation to young councillors wanting to connect with other like-minded people in the sector. Register now as a member and join the VLGA Young Councillors Network for the first in-person networking event on Friday the 6th of June. The network is open to all Victorian councillors aged 40 years and under and is the support group for younger councillors across the state, sharing conversations, key learnings, observations and ideas. To register for the network, visit the VLGA website. Registration is free for councillors aged 40 and under from VLGA member councils. Now for the New South Wales report, and Blacktown City Council has launched a $600 million infrastructure program and is seeking construction partners through a request for tender to deliver major civic and community projects across the city over the next 5 years. The ambitious program includes various projects such as a new PCYC and community hub, aquatic centres, cultural hubs and civic facilities, building upon the city's recent successful delivery of over $250 million in major infrastructure projects. Newcastle City Council will this week formally receive an independent review by Davidson Business Advisory, which has found the council to be a well-managed and high-performing organisation. The full report includes 20 recommendations for improvements across various areas, including governance, compliance and engagement. More than 800 public submissions were received from 548 individuals. It's anticipated the Council's Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee will be charged with overseeing implementation of the findings. Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council has rejected a draft solid fuel heater policy that would have banned new wood heaters in urban areas. 2 rounds of community consultation showed over 80% opposition to the ban, according to About Regional. The council will instead focus on education programs to help residents understand their obligations in controlling smoke pollution, while allowing existing wood heaters to remain and new installations to continue. Bega Valley Shire Council has endorsed a significant planning proposal to rezone 279 hectares south of Bega, which could potentially deliver over 2,200 new dwellings to address the region's housing crisis. The proposal, which implements recommendations from the Bega Structure Plan adopted last June, will now be referred to the New South Wales Government for gateway determination and subsequent community consultation. The mayors of Moree Plains Shire Council and Balonne Shire Council, New South Wales and Queensland, are taking a state rivalry to the border this week when they'll host a State of Origin-themed border battle at the Mungindi Bridge. The community event will celebrate cross-border mateship while playfully highlighting the New South Wales-Queensland rivalry, featuring a barbecue breakfast and live TV coverage on Today Extra on Channel 9. Residents are encouraged to wear their state colours and join in the activities from 8 a.m. on Wednesday. More New South Wales stories in brief. Mid-Coast Council has welcomed Janice Irving as its newest councillor following the resignation of Dira Smith for health reasons. Councillor Irving was elected on countback and will serve until September 2028. The council has cancelled its scheduled meeting this week due to the flooding disaster. The ALGWA New South Wales annual conference in Griffith has been rescheduled from May to September. The reason for the delay has been attributed to scheduling conflicts with recent elections. And Murrumbidgee Council has assumed management of the Darlington Point Riverside Caravan Park, appointing Jesse Burns as caretaker, according to the Area News. The council is seeking $10 million in funding to transform the park into a premier tourism destination, with plans including flood-resilient infrastructure and new cabins. Let's head on into Queensland now, and Toowoomba Regional Council has applied for $97 million in federal funding through the Disaster Ready Fund for the $266 million Cressbrook Dam upgrade project, despite a previous application being rejected. The Toowoomba Chronicle reported that without external funding support, ratepayers could face additional costs of around $135 per year per property, and Mayor Jeff McDonald warned the council may need to postpone other infrastructure projects and reassess essential services. Meanwhile, the council has called a special meeting for Wednesday of this week to appoint a new chief executive officer following an extensive recruitment search. The appointment will be finalised through a council resolution during the public meeting, which will be live streamed via the council's website. South Burnett Regional Council has voted to take over management of the former RSPCA shelter near Kingaroy Airport from July 1st, renaming it to the South Burnett Animal Management Centre. The facility will continue operating as a pound while also focusing on rehoming suitable animals. Mayor Cathy Duff has assured the community that experienced staff will ensure a smooth transition and the best possible outcomes for the animals. Livingstone Shire Council has officially named the new Cooey Bay Aquatic Centre as the Capricorn Coast Brian Dorey OAM Aquatic Centre. following community support and a successful notice of motion at a council meeting. The naming honours the late Brian Dorey OAM's significant contributions to local sport and recreation on the Capricorn Coast, with the decision supported by a community petition of around 220 signatories. In Tasmania, Paul Gardner has been appointed as the new General Manager of Circular Head Council, bringing over 20 years of leadership experience from across local government, private and not-for-profit sectors in the UK, New Zealand and Australia. Mr Gardner currently holds an executive role with South Wairarapa District Council in New Zealand. He'll commence the position in early July, taking over from acting GM Andrew Wardlaw, who served in the interim following Vanessa Adams's departure in February. Huon Valley Council is reportedly taking over management of community halls from committees. ABC Radio reported that the committee members were advised recently of the plan to centralise hall management as part of council operations, a move that some predict will lead to a loss of connection with local communities. And Kingborough Council is launching a new soft plastics recycling collection point at the Beretta Waste and Recycling Centre, providing residents with a way to recycle items like bread bags, chocolate wrappers and plastic films that previously had to go in the general waste bin. The collected materials will be processed by Recycle Smart into new products, including oil and asphalt additives, though residents must ensure items are clean and dry before drop-off. From South Australia, 5 Flinders University engineering graduates have secured positions in local government through a collaborative program between the City of Mitcham and the City of Marion, which involves rotating work roles over a 2-year period. It's part of a broader agreement between Flinders University and the councils focused on workforce development, innovation and research, with a particular emphasis on sustainability projects and civil engineering. The Northern Territory Government has dismissed all elected members of the Coomera Council following an investigation that revealed serious deficiencies in governance and operations, including significant interpersonal conflicts and procedural errors. The investigation was conducted by former Palmerston CEO Catherine Hutton, who found the members lacked a full understanding of their responsibilities. The council will hold new elections on the 23rd of August. Local Government Association NT President Con Vatskalis has called for stronger penalties for councillors who breached the Code of Conduct. And the NT Government has passed significant amendments to local government legislation, focusing on modernising operations, improving efficiency and strengthening transparency. The changes will apply to several key areas, including elections, council processes and administrative functions. The government says this is just the first phase of changes aimed at empowering local communities and improving governance in the Territory. Still to come on this edition of the program, I'm joined by Zoe Dattner to talk about the problem of employee burnout at councils around the country. And the global report is just ahead. But first, let me tell you a little about Smart Glue from Symphony 3, our podcast supporter. Local government teams shouldn't have to waste time on manual data entry into outdated systems. And with Symphony 3's Smart Glue, you don't have to. You can automate repetitive tasks, eliminate double handling, and connect legacy systems with ease. Smart Glue helps councils streamline operations, reduce errors, and deliver better services without replacing your existing systems. Time to build smarter, more connected local governments. Learn more at www.symphony3.com. Now let's check in on some stories making news from local governments overseas. In New Zealand, firstly, CFM Coromandel has reported on a breakdown in the working relationship of the Mayor and Chief Executive of Thames Coromandel District Council. It claims that communication between Mayor Len Salt and CE Aileen Laurie is limited to formal meetings or when others are present, with insiders describing a growing dysfunction at the council. The revelations come as the council moves to reduce curbside waste collections over the peak summer period and welcomes Jeanette Wickera as its new General Manager of Community. Environment Southland has endorsed an investigation into potential council mergers in the Southland region following a proposal last year to consolidate the existing 4 councils into 2 unitary authorities. Radio New Zealand reported that the investigation process could take 3 to 5 years, with the Local Government Commission expected to make a decision on whether to proceed next month. In the UK, Scotland's councils are facing a £647 million budget shortfall in the coming financial year, despite increased government funding, as rising costs, inflation and increased service demands create significant financial pressure. BBC News reported on how councils are addressing the gap through service cuts, tax increases and drawing from reserves. The minimum increase to be imposed this year is 6%, with the average sitting just under 10%. The Accounts Commission has warned the current situation is unsustainable for the future. Birmingham City Council has obtained a court order to prevent waste vehicles from being blocked at depots during an ongoing refuse workers' strike, which has led to over 12,000 tonnes of uncollected waste accumulating on streets in the past week, according to BBC News. The dispute centres on proposed pay cuts for bin lorry drivers of up to £8,000. Negotiations have entered an 11th week under the oversight of government-appointed commissioners. In Brighton, Sussex Police have issued a correction regarding their investigation into serious incidents at Brighton and Hove City Council's Hollingdean Waste Depot. Despite earlier statements suggesting the case was closed, police confirmed to BBC News that multiple investigations remain active and ongoing. The allegations spanning 2023 to 2025 include criminal damage, possession of offensive weapons, harassment and even arson at the facility formerly known as City Clean. Chief Superintendent Rachel Carr describes the matters as very serious and concerning. In the US, NBC News reports that Los Angeles City Council has approved a revised $13.9 billion fiscal year budget that will slow down police hiring and restore more than 60 city positions, while reducing funding for homeless initiatives, including the Mayor's Inside Safe program. The budget aims to address a $1 billion deficit through measures such as halving LAPD recruitment while preserving core services and saving approximately 1,000 jobs from the original proposed cuts. And elsewhere in California, a controversial move at West Covina City Council, which has terminated the services of its city manager and replaced her after just 12 months with the city's Director of Public Safety on an acting basis. The controversial move was made in a closed session and came shortly after the council decided to drop degree requirements for executive positions. The San Gabriel Valley Tribune reported the decision has sparked concerns about the city's leadership stability, particularly given West Covina's current challenges, including its high-risk financial status and multiple vacant senior positions. And that's our news roundup for this episode. More coming away on Wednesday, but I have a special edition of Roundup Extra for you coming up now. Delighted to check in with the fresh CEO of the Dattner Group, Zoe Dattner, on the program today. Hi, Zoe. How are you going?
I'm excellent, Chris. Thank you. Yes, freshly minted CEO.
But as we were saying before we started recording, it's been a pretty well-planned transition, hasn't it, over some time?
Well, it has, and it's a critical and not surprising lesson to have in the organisation, given what we do. But to see succession done in this way is hugely informative for my own development, but it's the way it should be done. You know, succession is so frequently bestowed upon the chosen one and not communicated transparently to the rest of the organisation. We've taken our time, and it doesn't end, with a title change. It will continue to evolve as we, it's a massive change for the business and for our clients, so it'll continue to evolve.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's leadership takeaway number one for this conversation. Before we get to the main topic we wanted to talk about today, you're talking to us from Poland, where it's early morning. You're there for a big conference that I believe a lot of local government people in Europe go to.
Yeah, that's right. It's the Urban Future Conference. I'm in the town of Łódź, about an hour and a half out of Warsaw. And they choose a different city every time. Fabian's been to a number of these conferences, and they always choose a city that is sort of been redesigned, as it were. And this is an old textiles hub, sort of pre-World War II. And then you let in the change makers and the urban planners and the sustainability leaders, and they transform it into this amazing showcase of what happens when really smart, values-aligned people come together. So councils from all around Europe and the ecosystem around those councils descend on the conference, and there'll be a lot of interesting sessions. I'm doing something around women and leadership, which of course is something we do a lot of, and the exciting topic of stakeholder management, which is more interesting than it sounds, but something that a lot of people, I think, tend tend to not do as well as they could. So their effectiveness is sometimes compromised by that.
It might not sound sexy, but it is important and
Yep.
crucial, isn't it? But anyway, conversations for another day and perhaps some insights from this conference that you're at for another time. But what we wanted to check in with you about was a session that you're having in a few weeks' time, which will involve some key council leaders from various states looking at the issue of burnout. How serious as an issue is this right now?
Well, it's interesting. It's not particular to councils. It's happening globally. It's the post-pandemic pandemic, and much has been written and said on the topic. I think what's interesting to us is because we run these events pretty regularly with leaders from local government. We were discussing the topic that is feeling most prevalent right now when we talk to councils, when we study their cultures. This issue of busyness is everywhere, and it's from the very, very top to the very, very bottom of the organisation, this sense that there is no end to the tasks. And as soon as you put one thing down, another thing comes in. And, we observe all of that and we think something's wrong here. Something needs to change. What is this culture of busyness, as we call it, doing? Burnout is certainly a impact from a culture of busyness, but there's many impacts. And so we thought this is the time to get some leaders together and really have a conversation about it.
Yeah, it strikes me that for some time there's been a conversation going on in council organisations about the need to do more with less. Once upon a time it was, how can we do more with what we have? But things have tightened so much, it's now how do we do more with less? And that surely is a major contributor to this feeling of burnout.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the measurements that state and federal government are putting in place, the pressure that's putting on councils, and the discrepancy from one area or one council to another. Not all councils obviously are created equal, and so that's creating a huge amount of pressure. But I think to that topic of do more with less, obviously it's got to be the other way around. To have it all, we got to do it less. And one of the things that we see happening, given that the resource shortage, the skills shortage, all of those things are ubiquitous also, there are things outside of our control, is what can we do to lift our workforce up to its highest potential? Because when we bombard them with KPIs and tasks and never-ending things to be done, we completely forget about the people that sit at the heart of this organisation, and they are such people-powered organisations. So that's where the opportunity lies.
Can leaders be alert to some early warning signs that this is becoming an issue and perhaps some strategies for heading it off?
That's such an excellent question, because where we see it happening at its worst, it is being led from the top down. So know thyself, look within. What time are you sending emails out? It can be as sort of, minutiae as that in terms of really understanding your own behaviour, because you are modelling it with the best of intentions. When you send out a newsletter at 4:00 in the morning, you're sending a message that says we're expected to be thinking and doing all day, every day. And, this right to disconnect, it's a great concept, but it doesn't enforce any disconnection. So watch what you're modelling, I think, is the first thing I would say to leaders. Secondly, always, and we beat this drum till the cows come home, listen to your organisation, really listen and pay attention, because it's not likely that you'll hear it from your own leadership team. A senior leadership team is used to operating at a certain level. So you've really got to go out to your people and find out what it's like for them.
So you're bringing together a panel of leaders. We've got Will Jeremy from Alpine Shire, the CEO there in Victoria, Craig Swift-McNair, the General Manager of Woollahra Municipal Council in New South Wales, and Abby Hunt, who I don't know, from Data Drive Insight. Why this particular group of people for this topic, Zoe?
Well, a number of things. Firstly, Craig and Will, who we're both doing work with at the moment, are, I would say, card-carrying busy addicts.
Right.
in their own ways. I don't think they'd mind me saying that. Incredibly busy people running very busy organisations, and they're partly the inspiration for running this session. Both incredibly aware of it and invested both in their own development and awareness around what to do about it, and investing in the cultures so that they can bring this topic to the fore for everybody. Abby from Data Drives Insight is a senior researcher there and specialist in psychological safety. And what we see is a direct link between a culture of busyness and burnout to how safe folks feel working in an organisation.
Right.
Regardless of how resilient an individual may be, how well resourced they may be to deal with the never-ending busyness of life, find themselves in an environment that might be compromising their ability to really show up as themselves, to be forthcoming and transparent in what it feels like to be in an organisation like that. So it's a really it's a great database way to measure what's happening in an organisation as a result of this busyness.
Will participants hear some real success stories in tackling these problems that you've described?
Oh gosh, that's certainly my intention. That's why we do these things. So what we'll be exploring are some of the, we've been working with councils for so long. We have quite a bank of research around the common themes that occur within councils now. And so what we can see are the benchmarks that define a constructive culture, one where everyone is thriving. And so what I'll be asking them about is what they're doing to address the gaps in some of those benchmarks. So that might come down to cross-functional collaboration, the visibility and support of executive leaders, how they really take their community-focused, service-focused purpose, which all councils have. They're so passionate about the community, no matter where they are, that responsiveness pretty quickly turns to reactiveness. And so for Craig and Will, they've both learnt big lessons in this space. It's a work in progress, obviously, but they're going to be able to share anecdotes about what they're learning from a leader's perspective, as well as a leadership team, and then a culture. How do we start to address these things?
Yeah. So you so often hear busy people say, "I'd love to go to this, but I just don't have the time. I'm so busy." I know it's a lunchtime event. You're only asking for probably 90 minutes of people time. Who should participate in this, and why, do you think?
That's a great question. Well observed, competing against other priorities. So it's certainly for senior leaders in an organisation, general managers, CEOs, their director teams would be fabulous, because they're the ones who often set the expectation of how to behave in an organisation. They don't know it, or they might know it, but knowing and doing it are completely different things sometimes. They're the ones that we really want to be there, so that they can have this protected time together. Every time we run these events, they're very interactive, they're very intimate. It's a very safe place for them to come together and have their experience echoed back by others, and think, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one. That is hugely validating. Now what do I do about it? In terms of that competition with their own priorities and time, I would just urge you to get your exec assistants, whoever it is that helps manage your diary, to make sure this can happen. Because if you can't, it's a symptom of the problem, right? We're not spending enough time on the thinking and being with one another that would help us get ourselves out of some of the strife that we're in.
Yes, the irony is not lost on me, and I'm hoping it's not lost on our audience as well. So blank out the time in your calendar. It's Wednesday, the 18th of June. I will put the details and links in the show notes. Zoe, I hope it's another successful event, and I hope you enjoy your time in Poland. I'll look forward to hearing more about that when you return.
Thanks very much, Chris.
And that wraps up today's edition of the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 456, recorded on the morning of Monday, the 26th of May, 2025. If you'd like to know more about any of the stories featured in our show today, you can head to lgnewsroundup.com for story links and a transcript. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. I'm grateful to the many of you who help make this podcast possible by supporting us through a monthly subscription. Support starts at $3 per month, around $5 Australian, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Details on the website or in your podcast player. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. I'm thrilled to welcome Symphony 3 to the Local Government News Roundup family. If you're a local council, you know how challenging it can be to manage data across all your different systems. That's where Symphony 3 comes in. They've developed Smart Glue, a platform that integrates over 55 council systems, automating data flow without the need for manual work. It turns confusion into simplicity. With Smart Glue, councils save time, reduce errors and empower staff to focus on what really matters. Their clients see a real difference, up to 20% boost in productivity, with savings of over $30,000 per integration every year. Symphony 3 helps councils work smarter, faster and more efficiently, all while better supporting the communities they serve.